Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Big Picture, the podcast where we take something that some or all of us didn't like, be it video games, movies, TV shows, or even life in general, and we then pitch a better version of it. Just think of it like Dragon's Den, but with 80% more Duncan Bannatyne. Before we get to our panel here and today's big topic, first, just some housekeeping. You can find us on all the major podcast services such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, Google Podcasts, and many more. If you're more of a YouTube person, then don't worry because we are on there too. Just search for the Big Picture Podcast and you can find us on all of these platforms. If you like what you hear and you want more of this show, then please don't forget to subscribe, leave us some reviews, some likes, and some comments. We'd love to hear from you. Lastly, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram @_thebigpicture. So if you have any feedback or even some ideas of your own you'd love repitched, then feel free to hit us up on those platforms. We've had some great interaction with listeners already and even some fan requests that we will work into our schedule, so stay tuned for those. With that out of the way, I am your host for today, Stewart Fitzgerald, and we have our usual stellar lineup. Coming fresh off of the very first win for anyone here on the podcast and the defending Big Picture, it's Shettleston's tough boy, Lewis Jameson. How are you doing today, Lewis?
Oh, I'm doing well. I love to hear my name and the word champion next to it. But I do have a slight bone to pick with the people, right? Because right now, the people's champion is at a tie. And I'm not the one involved in the tie. So, Stuart, back to you. How do you feel about that?
Well, we have one half of the people's champion right here. We put, as I said, put last episode's big pitches out to a public vote on Twitter. And this man, he stole the hearts and minds of our audience. It's Adam Burkiewicz.
Doing people's champion coming in. How you doing, guys? Nice to be here. Nice to be the people's champion. I think we all know that's the title that really matters because you can have an empty title of winning just our vote, but I care about what the people think, and the people think I'm great. They also think you're great, Stuart.
That's up to them. I'm not going to sway their matter, but you have another chance here to maybe get some big public opinion swaying your way and maybe even become the true champion as well. So coming to you live from the Highlands with his own Highlands report, it is the most watched man in Scotland. It's Rhys Cook. How are we today, Rhys?
I am just wonderful, thanks. I really like the intro there where you said that we pitch things about stuff we don't like, including life. I can't wait for that podcast. I've got a lot to say about how much I don't like life.
50th show special. If we can get to 50 episodes, let's see what we can do.
Great, can't wait.
And last but certainly not least, he's been our trusty host for the past couple of episodes, but it's his first time as a panellist on this show. Is he up to the task? Let's find out. It's Jack Graham, everybody. How you feeling, Jack?
I'm not up to the task. I'm not up to it. I'm just here. I'm hoping for the best. I've hosted obviously the episode 0 in the Battle Royale one before. I thought, it's time to kick back a bit. Let someone else do the bulk of the talking. So I'm here. I'm just enjoying the ride.
Quite right. Well, you're still welcome here, and no grudges held for last week's, shall we say, controversial decision made.
Let's just say that if Rhys didn't begin to brand it with the golden ball thing, and I didn't carry it on, you probably wouldn't have got the people's champions vote. So
yeah,
you can take that as a win.
I agree. I think I just helped you along here. I was shafted. I thought my idea was brilliant, but I got one vote, and I'm pretty sure it was me.
Well, we'll just have to wait for my press release tonight. So we all ready to rear and to go, guys? Is this it?
Oh, I just want to say...
Anyone else coming? Sorry.
Anyone else coming? Just want to say happy birthday to Jack. It was his birthday during the week.
Yeah.
It was.
Oh, thank you.
And I'd like to thank us. I'd like to thank us all for our very timely birthday wishes that were on the day and not a day late at all.
Only two people did it on Instagram.
I mean, to be fair, you and Rhys had it locked down on Instagram, but you were a day late, Stuart, so it really just counts as one person that had it locked down on
Instagram. My approval ratings have just nosedived as we speak.
I'm already making enemies. I'm not going to win this week. What's the point of being here?
The thing is, Jack, nobody likes a people's champion that forgets birthdays. That's the thing.
That's true. You'll know for next year.
I will, hopefully. What day was that again? Well, with that, our panelists are all raring and ready to go. Today's big topic is microtransactions. We all know them. We all love to hate them. There doesn't seem to be a day that goes by where you don't see a game or a comment or a news headline that has something to do with microtransactions. They are a highly debated, reviled, and always present aspect of gaming these days. But you've heard what everybody else has to say about them, and now it is our turn, and we will be repitching them. However, I will just say, ahead of everybody's ideas, that as much as we'd all probably just pitch completely doing away with them in general, that's far too easy. So, and we'd probably only get about 5 minutes worth of content from that, and that's not good. So let's just say it won't be as easy as that, I'm afraid, guys. What does that mean for their pitches? Well, let's find out. Lewis, seeing how you're the current title holder, we'll go to you first. I mean,
Right.
You've been around the blocks of gaming a few times, Grove Street, Rapture, the likes. What do you have to say about microtransactions?
Well, it's very easy to hate on them. It's very easy to see the predatory nature of the gambling, but I want to bring this back to its history. I'm not the elder statesman of the group, someone else holds the age title, but as you said, I've been around the block for a while. And the first time I remember any sort of semblance of microtransactions was back in ye old days of the 360 with DLC packs. And the highlight comes in the form of Fallout 3 for me, when microtransactions were great. When you would buy something and it actually felt like you added to the game and to the experience. Now, obviously, I'm talking about things like Broken Steel, Operation Anchorage, Project Zeta, I think it was called, Alien One. They all added something to the game and give you a new experience, something that was different, something that added to the original experience. Unfortunately, we've kind of got away with that. And one of my chief complaints is with season passes. That before a game's even announced, you can buy a special version of the game that's double the price and you get a year's worth of so-so content that doesn't really add to the experience, at least if you're a Ubisoft game. Now, I will say some people have done it right, and one of the greatest games ever made, The Witcher 3, God bless, has done it right with adding to the original experience and almost making a whole new game instead of just like, oh, buy this so we can make your game less miserable. And that's my chief concern with microtransactions, is they don't necessarily add to the game, they just make the original less annoying. That's the best I can come up with.
I mean, that's a very good take on it. It almost does seem to, I like your point on it's always the promise of games. It used to be you'd buy a game and that was it, but it almost seems like the publishers are mortgaging these games to us with the promise of, well, there will be more content. You don't get a say in what this content will be, and it might have already going to be planned into the actual game, but we'll piecemeal it out to you, so you have to pay more for something you should be getting.
Exactly. It's almost as if like they want as you said, mortgage on it, but it's almost like a game back of interest. We're gonna sell the game and we're gonna make the £50 or however much they're gonna ship it off right off the bat. And then if you buy the season pass for £15 to £30, depending on the game, you have that year's worth of content. But don't worry, in 2 years we're gonna release a definitive edition for £80 and capitalize on all the missed markets, all the people that kind of went, I'm not going to buy that because it's a season pass. And it's not I'm not blaming game developers here, because it's definitely not their fault or their problem. These guys are making the projects they believe in, and honestly, the full amount of respect to these people. There's some of the things they have to deal with that have been well documented in press releases about certain game companies I don't want to get too much into today. It's the people that are at the top of the board meetings, the investors are just like, how can we make more money off this? And you lose the very soul of a game that makes it enjoyable. And that's why I say things like Fallout and Witcher and hopefully Cyberpunk coming through, is that the passion of the game developers and where they want to take it is right there, and you can really feel it instead of it getting sucked out by, hey, buy this skin for £15.
I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. I do have one point of contention though, where you're saying about how you can chart it all the way back to Fallout 3. I can chart all this DLC all the way back to Halo 2, where this was before it was even DLC, it was just C. You couldn't download it, you had to go into a shop and you had to buy the multiplayer map pack, which was a separate disc, which I thought you could just install on your Xbox and it'd be there. No. If you wanted to show everybody all these new maps, you had to take Halo 2 out, put this new disc in, show them all the maps, and then they just moan that they weren't as good as the old maps, and you just had to put Halo 2 back in. But yeah, it's you've covered a lot of interesting points here. We'll go to Adam. What's your take on this? Do you agree with what Lewis is saying?
Yeah, I think what I find interesting is he brought up he can remember it is to say Fallout, and I actually remember the first bit of DLC controversy, if you want, which it wasn't really controversial. It was more a running joke. Was on Elder Scrolls Oblivion, also a Bethesda game with the horse armor. I don't know if anyone remembers this. They had DLC as well, and they famously had it was 250 Microsoft points, which I think that is about 250. It was not quite as the conversion. It's not quite that. Obviously, you had to buy in bulk, like you have to do with most currencies these days. And it was just it did add like technically made your horse more protected, but it was 2 different types of armor you could get, and that was it. And then they were charging whatever £2.50 for it, and I just remember that was a running joke of like the horse armor. That's just a joke. Like it's look at all the other DLC they did, Knights of the Nine, Shivering Isles, which added whole new areas and quest lines to the game, and then they had that chucked in. It was almost like they were starting. That was that for me. I remember that. I don't know you, Stuart. Do you remember?
It's an interesting point with the horse armor. It seems like you were getting very little for what you'd expect the price to be. Do you think that was a litmus test, Adam, like for publishers to kind of test the waters and see what people would be willing to spend their money on?
Yeah, I think absolutely that's a good way to look at it. This was content that maybe should have been free update, and then Bethesda snuck it in and said, why don't you pay for this? And then people bought it. Like I bought it, I remember, because I got Microsoft points. I got given them for my birthday. I got them in bulk. And then I would have left over, and if you had 300 Microsoft points, there wasn't much you could get with that. So I would see about 250 for the horse armor. I would just get that. I think many people had a similar idea, and that was the kind of advantage of this first experience of in-game currency that we had back then. I think it's interesting if you looked at it more times now. The season pass that Lewis brought up, I think that's a good way to talk about that. When that first appeared, actually, funny enough, it's in Fallout. You can get. When Fallout 4 came out, there was offered with a season pass. I think the complaint people have is that you're getting promised this content down the line. And for Fallout 4, okay, you didn't like it, but you could feel, okay, well, it's Fallout, it's Bethesda, their DLC is normally good. But then I think when you look at what can be it can become a normal practice with games like Anthem by Electronic Arts. I'm sure we've all heard that was hyped up. And then it had a content release calendar of like things that were going to be added into the game. You paid for the season pass for it was going to be 4 seasons of different content, and it's like, what am I signing up for here? I'm paying £60 for this game, and then not only do you want £30, you want £30 from me every 6 months. What experience could be so good that I am required to pay that much extra for it? So it's going to cost me. Someone do the quick maths for me. It's not great. £240 in total. I'm not paying that for a game. Doesn't matter how good it is, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, it's so tough when you don't have anything in your hands to kind of go off of, especially if, these things, as Lewis said, they're announced way before the game is out. If you see something at E3 and they're like, oh, you could get all of this someday, but then look at Anthem, they've had to go right back to the start again, and they've had to redo the whole game. So it's tough here. But the whole idea of season passes and battle passes, they seem to be going around more and more these days. Jack, do you think that these passes are a way to give the player more content or just get more money out of them?
I'd say a bit of both, because my main kind of experience with season passes recently, it's been through free-to-play games like your Battle Royales we spoke about in last episode. So I fully understand why developers would want to make money from that in that sense, because it is a free-to-play game, and spending £8 a season and you're doing objectives in that season to go up the tiers in the battle pass, and you get some sort of like cosmetic reward. I fully understand it in that part, but seeing the likes, obviously, I was going to say Call of Duty is using it, but Warzone is free to play because you can just download that separately. But there is kind of being more frequently, like there's like paid games where you can buy a battle pass and you've already bought the game anyway, then you're having to buy a battle pass for that season to go and explain more.
COD, so Jack, I don't mean to interrupt you. It is on the normal COD multiplayer because my brother is known by this podcast. he plays it obsessively. He's at leveling up his battle pass, so it does exist on paid games. You're right. Carry on.
So yeah, I think that's all the crap. To be honest, like it's just a way of trying to exploit your customers as much as possible to like just sink your teeth in and claw as much money as you can.
Yeah, I do agree with you that like I don't begrudge a game if it's free to play to kind of get some more revenue that way. But if you're already paying up front for a game, then you have to pay for a battle pass or a season pass. You know, it's just money upon money upon money.
Yeah, so as Lewis was saying, he was saying like a Witcher and like Skyrim and like what Oblivion, there's DLC you can buy and it adds to the experience of the game, i.e. it's like a new kind of story, so to speak. But when you're already paying for a game and you have to pay for a battle pass just to get a fancy skin in your gun, I can't deal with that. It winds me up the wrong way.
Well, Lewis he's brought up some interesting points, Rhys, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of positives going microtransactions way. Do you feel that's the case, or do you think there's a lot of positives people aren't seeing?
I think it's really easy to obviously be like, microtransactions, terrible, waste of money, promotes gambling in children, stuff like that. But when you think about it maybe constructively and take a back seat and kind of, actually look at it, there are a lot of positives. If you consider gaming now from gaming 20 years ago, 20 years ago, you're given a game and that's it. That's the game, fully developed. That's it. Play it and there's no updates or anything, no bug fixes, nothing. That's it. Whereas now, you get games and they're constantly getting updates. Fortnite update every week, Call of Duty is every few weeks. Rocket League's getting one like every month and a bit just now. So there's always updates in the games, and to do that, you need to pay obviously people money to constantly be looking at the game and constantly developing the game. So to go from getting a game and having no updates whatsoever to having a game now, you obviously need money. And when a game like Fortnite, Apex, or Battle Royales in general, and even Rocket League is going to become free to play in the summer, to go from a free to play game and getting constant updates to make the game still relevant, still fun for the players, you need some sort of revenue stream. So to do microtransactions in that aspect are hugely beneficial for the game and for the actual players. And microtransactions like battle passes and free to play games like we mentioned just there is actually a good thing because they're optional. You don't need to buy a battle pass in Fortnite or Rocket League or anything like that. You can buy it if you want, or you can buy something from the item shop, and none of it is pay to win. It's all cosmetic. It's all just for the look or to do a fun dance or whatever. Nothing benefits you more when you're playing a game if you buy it. So it's all optional. There's no risk. You know what you're putting your money into, and it still makes the game even and fair. As well as that, Fortnite obviously hosts the World Cups, and the prize pool's $30 million. And almost all, if it's a free-to-play game, almost all that money is coming from microtransactions. So they wouldn't be able to offer that content not only to people who enjoy watching it, but people who play it. So the money goes, I don't want to say the money goes back to the players, but it is obviously players that are playing the game, got really good at the game, worked really hard, put a lot of time and effort into the game, and they're the ones getting the money back. So it is beneficial in some aspects, and it is obviously easy to say microtransactions are the devil, we don't want them, they're bad, but there are some positive aspects for it, Stuart.
You're absolutely right, because when you look at it, games have kind of stayed the same price, over the past however many years. They do kind of middle about that £40 to £60, and they aren't cheap to make. There are a lot of these new like different aspects of gameplay, different aspects of maps and everything. They do require a lot of money plowed into them to get it right. But you're right, there is at least with these microtransactions, it's a way to support the structure of the game to keep it longer, so that the player base is around for a longer time. And like you said, it's kind of a circle. It's a nice cycle that they can kind of put money in and give money back. But With that, Lewis, is there anything else you'd like to add before you give your big pitch for microtransactions?
There's microtransactions as a topic we could talk about this for 4 weeks on end and not really get anywhere. The two that I kind of want to mention is one thing we haven't really talked about is the aspect of making games more enjoyable because the base experience isn't. And what I mean by that is, and I'll relate this to NBA 2K, FIFA Ultimate Team, Madden Ultimate Team, those kind of games. In the career mode in 2K, you can start off as a rookie and make your way up to the NBA Finals, all that kind of jazz. But in order to be competitive, you have to have a higher overall rated player. Now, you can spend months and grind out in the season and slowly build up your player, and it might take 6 months to do. Or you can go in the store, spend 25 quid, boost them all the way up, and be able to go play with your friends and actually compete. Now, if you put that over to kind of bigger game modes like FIFA Ultimate Team, Madden Ultimate Team, and 2K's version, you can go into a game and all of a sudden you're playing against a full team of Hall of Fame level 99 ranked players, and it's just not a enjoyable experience. So in order to be able to enjoy the game, you have to then go spend money on it. And this is where the pay to win kind of comes in. Star Wars Battlefront 2 famously screwed that up with the most disliked comment in Reddit history, which did not go over well. But I mean, I shouldn't have to give them credit for doing the right thing, because that seems like we're setting the bar too low. But they did change it. They did go back and fix it, which I can't knock them for. And then the final point.
Yeah, you see, EA is the hero, Lewis. EA is the hero in all of this. That's what you're missing.
Electronic Arts is the famous hero of gaming morality. I can't believe you said that.
It's recorded now. We have it on file.
Oh no!
Lewis's views do not reflect that of the big picture.
Yeah, the saving grace. But one thing that I thought was quite funny, and it came up on like my Twitter feed after we discussed that we're going to do microtransactions, was actually mobile games. And it was actually a fan, Megan, that actually told me about this and wanted to make a point of it, is that when you play mobile games, it's all over the place. Advertisements for it, advertisements for the companies, and also like, oh, buy this and then you can do this in your game. And it becomes the point where, like, in order to enjoy the game and get to any point, you need to spend money. I remember, it's hilarious because it's Kanye West and I don't like him, but he put a tweet out complaining that his daughter had spent so much money on his iPad playing a game that his wife was the owner of the game. Thousands of pounds had been spent, and it was his own wife's game.
What?
Well, where's the money going then?
His daughter had just got the iPad, the credit card's on it. It's obviously Kanye West. He's not going to notice that money going. And Kim Kardashian had a game out. I don't know what it was called. This was years ago. It's probably still available now. But his daughter had just been buying things in order to play the game and had racked up hundreds, if not thousands of dollars worth of material.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Microtransactions has claimed another victim, Kanye West. It really does happen to anybody.
It can happen to anybody. Never think you're safe. You're not.
I'm just kind of looking this game up now. Kim Kardashian Hollywood.
I genuinely can't remember what it was. It was a couple of years ago. I might see if I can find the tweets. He's probably deleted them after his tirade recent public speaking event, which I won't talk about.
I love how it's actually described as a casual free-to-play role-playing game, and there you go. It's cost Kanye West thousands of pounds.
Yeah. Again, he's probably not even noticed it. But anyway, my big pitch. I don't think microtransactions are beyond redemption. I don't want to sit and say like they don't have any positives or they're all negative. But what I do want to make sure that they do going forward is kind of getting back to the exception of horse armor, adding to the core experience. Allow the core experience to be what it's going to be, a solid game, a fun game, but then any additional content, whether it's the battle pass or whether it's story DLC, season pass, which I don't think you should be marketing before a game's even out, actually have it add to the experience and make it feel like me spending £15 on this was actually enjoyable. And I will relate it to things like the Mass Effect DLCs, which we're both a fan on, except for Andromeda, which they dropped the ball on that, never even made them. Fallout. I think we need to get back to, I know Rhys is saying that, like, yeah, there's more support going on, but I think in the previous state of gaming where there was support about the passion of gaming, which is kind of what I'm trying to tie it back to, is is to focus on that as well, supporting not necessarily a game of service, which is kind of where we're at now, service model games with Fortnite, Rainbow Six Siege, those sort of examples, getting back to actually adding to the core experience and making it enjoyable again.
Wait, Lewis, does that mean that you would rather pay for a game than a game be free to play? Because if you don't want like battle passes in games, if you're wanting just like DLCs, like new maps and stuff like that.
No, I'm trying to get away from the free to play games, which is part of the reason why gaming has exploded, is because they are free to play. The point of entry is free. I'm talking about other games, things like your Assassin's Creeds, your Fallouts, your Witchers, Cyberpunks, Mass Effects. Insert any game that isn't a free to play battle royale game. The other, getting away from that battle pass side of things, moving more into a single player, or even like games like sport games like 2K, instead of making your enjoyment of the game dependent on you spending money to actually get past any sort of debilitating joy block wall, for lack of a better term, to get away from that and actually be able to play the game, enjoy what's there, and then, oh, by the way, here's this DLC, you got a couple of new levels, a different world to explore, some new characters, etc., instead of just like that free-to-play model where it's like, oh, we've now got a tie-in event with Avengers, buy the battle pass and you can get a skin to make you look like Aquaman, you know?
Right. I'm having enough of this Fortnite slander right now. There's 2 podcasts in a row and we're slating Fortnite. I always felt bad when I was younger because I would play Call of Duty and then we would have, obviously the new maps would come out and I would never be able to afford them though. Mm-hmm. So I always felt a bit bad and a bit, kind of like left out. So I feel like that aspect you've got to consider as well, where your maybe poorer communities within the gaming community can't afford the new maps and it kind of isolates them from the rest of the community.
Yeah, fracturing your player base is a big issue, and I think like because of the people getting away from that model, it's definitely improved that. And I think that's where the free-to-play games like your Fortnite, your Apex, your Call of Duty Warzones, and I don't know, there's 1,001 battle royales and different games out there that we couldn't even get a chance to mention. They're able to fill that gap in the market. But I would like to see the other side of that coin, the other market, the other competition aspect available for people to partake in should they want to. And in the day, who am I to say what someone can and can't do with their disposable income? If you want to go buy skins, go buy skins. I mean, we've all done it. But yeah, I kind of want to see a changing of the guard to the passion projects.
Spend money in a game? Me? Never.
let me throw a question out real quick before we go on. I'm not a FIFA player. I'm a 2K player. I barely spend any money. Rhys, Jack, and Adam, how much money have you spent on FIFA over your time?
I would say, I don't play FIFA. I stopped playing FIFA in 2017, but I do play pro clubs. And this year alone, I didn't even play FIFA 19, but I started playing it again this year in FIFA 20. The game cost £50. And I don't play Ultimate Team at all, except for I build drafts when I'm waiting for like Adam or Jack to join. So I'll sit there and wait. So I'll build a draft. A draft costs 300 Microsoft points, and I've built 100 drafts. So I'll let you decide how much I spent.
So wait, you're saying it's my fault?
I do feel indirectly blamed there.
Yeah.
Well, no, not just you two, because I obviously don't play with just you two, but mainly you two, yeah. I'll be taxing you.
You've been taxing yourself.
I feel like I have.
Ladies and gentlemen, see here for yourself the first-hand account of what microtransactions can do to a friendship right here in the Big Picture podcast. But moving on from Lewis, so we've got Lewis's big pitch of kind of a return to form of DLC season passes, with the DLC supplementary and not completely needed for a game to be enjoyed. We have something a little bit different than what we're used to, and it's only our second episode. I know I can hear the comments already changing up the formula, but I do believe that Rhys and Jack, you're both more or less covering the same aspect of microtransactions, aren't you?
Yeah, I think we're kind of more talking about the kind of the loot box idea that's been going on in a lot of games recently, more specifically what we were just talking about FIFA. But with regards to FIFA, a lot of what Ultimate Team is centered around is purchasing packs of some sort in order to bolster your team. Because you start Ultimate Team, you get your kind of starter pack and whatever, and you get a few bronze and you get golds and whatnot. That you're kind of common gold players and you build your way up. But if you instantly go onto an online game, you'll find yourself going up against like a full rare gold team near on straight away because folk already have that instinct of, well, I need to go and put £50 into this and open up as much packs as I can and make some coins and buy some players to form a good squad. So instantly you're already kind of at a disadvantage from starting the game. It's something that's, I fell in the trap all the time because I probably do it every FIFA you get. They've even got to the point of where special editions of FIFA, you pay £80 and it gets you guaranteed like a pack a week for like 30 weeks or something like that. The game is just so centered around you piling more money into a game that's already overpriced and a game that doesn't really change much. I'm a sucker for it, and I hate that I'm a sucker for it, but what can you do when you're already in the hole?
That's called addiction, Jack, and it's a very serious problem. Well, Rhys, let's hear from you. Is Jack reaching the same conclusions as you, or is he dead wrong?
Well, we don't actually normally discuss what our big pictures are going to be because we like to have like kind of the genuine reaction when we're doing the call. So I was surprised when I found out Jack put in his big pitch for no reason into the chat. No one said anything. He just decided, this is what my big pitch will be this week, guys.
Adam asked.
He might have
know
been
he
proud
did.
of it.
No, he
Adam,
didn't.
yes, he did.
Adam, back me up here.
That's not what I asked.
See?
Right. I'm gonna go and look at this. So carry on.
Too late, I wasn't there.
It's like we can go look at the chat right now. Get this
Do not
sorted.
be posting screenshots of the chat, alright? Do not show them all as behind the curtain, guys.
Not until we have 100 subscribers. Then like Rhys's number, then the chat.
Oh gosh.
We can see who has a big pitch beforehand. So I gave mine.
I don't remember that.
I didn't mean right. Okay, that was housekeeping. I didn't mean reveal it. I meant find out if we've all been able to come up with a big pitch because I thought it'd be quite a difficult topic to pitch for. And I was going to say, like, we'll discuss just so we don't in the middle of the podcast go, oh, so what's your big pitch? And the person goes, I don't have one. It did. You just glance over it. But now that's it. I was behind the curtain. This is what happens. This is sorry.
Jack Graham can't read messages.
No, it's not that. No. I think the problem is I read it too much. I was too literal with what was
saying.
saying.
Can't read them.
You're saying you're too good a reader. Is that what you're saying?
You read between the lines.
Your Honour, my client is only guilty of reading too much.
Anyway, so Jack had put into the chat for absolutely no reason, unbeknownst to anyone.
Well, I mean, hardly no reason.
That he was going to focus around making microtransactions for cosmetic purposes only. So, like in Fortnite, you can buy skins, but it doesn't affect how you play the game because in FIFA, you have to spend money to be the best. I mean, theoretically, you don't, but realistically, you do. And that was going to be my pitch as well. So, Jack and I obviously discussed it, and he was like, "Well, are you able to come up with something else?" And I was like, well, I'll try, but I'm short for time. And then I messaged him at 3:30. We started to call it 2:45. We Easter egg there for everyone. And we started at 3:30. I messaged him and said, I've got a new pitch, and he was like, oh, so did I. So the great pitch that was cosmetic only has now been thrown into the wind. So Stuart, that could be your pitch for the week.
I was going to say, watch Adam take it. Adam will take it.
This just like you all over again.
I absolutely 100% not take that because I think that's a problem. I don't think that's. I've got plenty of opinions on how that's not a solution, but we'll just move on.
I like how we specified what time that we recorded the call for this, despite the fact that we're not putting this up until like a whole 3 days later.
Yeah, but I'm just saying there was a 15-minute gap between when Jack and I messaged each other and when the call started. Anyway, so my big pitch is in FIFA, there's a new game every year. So it goes, 18, 19, 20. Next year, FIFA 21, obviously. But when the year ends and you've spent £300, £400 on Ultimate Team, well, that's it. That's the game over. You have to start again. You don't get to transfer your players over. You don't get to transfer your coins over. You don't get to transfer your Microsoft points over. That's it. The game is over, and you have to start again in the new FIFA. If I were to open a pack in FIFA, and I've spent, the big packs, the like 100k packs. I think they're 2,000 Microsoft points, which is about £20, I believe, somewhere along that region. If I put £20 into the game for a lucky dip of a pack, and I was to pack 99 Ronaldo, who goes for about 10, 15 million coins or whatever it is, I have honestly no idea. I should be able to then take those coins out and transfer them into real money. Obviously, like the game would transfer it into real money. You get it. I don't want Stewart to pick up on my words. So if I was to gamble my own money into getting a good player, I should then be able to take that money out if I do get a good player, because I think that would be fair. If I'm spending money, I should be able to take it out as well. This is obviously...
That's not gambling.
I was going to say, I don't want to shoot you down, but the UK Gambling Commission ruled that loot boxes and packs are basically loot boxes, aren't gambling because you can't win money. And you're basically suggesting you should be able to win money. And so
that's what I'm saying, because but that's what I'm saying though. FIFA is a 3+ rated game for children, and they shouldn't be allowed to put money in to get nothing back. They should be allowed to put money in whatsoever. Ultimate Team and games where you are buying packs and stuff like that should be 18+, because you're putting money into the game and you don't understand money at 3 years old. If you're spending money in your mum's credit card, like Kanye West's daughter spending money, she doesn't know what money is. She probably never will know what money is. But if I'm putting money into a game, I know the risks and the rewards, but I would feel like the game doesn't reward you enough for the money that you're spending. There should be some better reward value, more like kind of like a casino. If I go in, I know that I'm spending money, I know what my odds are, but I've still got a chance of a reward. There is no reward for microtransactions in games like FIFA, 2K, Madden, anything by EA.
Player, though. Like if you go into a casino and I'm like, oh, I'm going to put 40 on, if you're at roulette table, I don't know, I've never been to a casino, 40 on black and it lands on red, you lose your 40. But if you put 40 on black and lands on black, you get 80 back. If I put 40 into let it ride. If I put 40 into a game and I get 40 players back, I've got my value.
No, because the thing is, the value isn't worth the money that you're putting in. And I don't think that it's rewarding the player enough for the money that they're putting in. And I don't think if you spend £400 in a game in 1 year and then they just release a brand new game the next year and you're walking away like, well, what an idiot. But it's their favourite game. They want to be the best at it, so they're not getting anything from it. And EA are just walking away, pockets full, laughing at them. And I just feel like they should have a better reward. And if they're going to make it gambling, I mean, I know technically it's not gambling, but, Rocket League, when it came to loot boxes, they had crates. And in December of last year, they changed it up to take crates out because they considered it gambling. And even though the UK says technically it's not gambling, there's some ethics behind it that clearly Psyonix weren't happy with. They thought it was gambling, and the EA, they'll just take any fine print they want, but you are gambling with your own money to get a player that you don't really want. You want the best player. You're not going to get the best player with your packs, but you watch people on YouTube get them. I just feel like you should be able to sell your player for real money.
So you're saying that there should be some kind of like transfer economy within FIFA games so that you can at least get something back for the money that you've put into it.
Yeah, even if they use Bitcoin or something like that, I just want my money that I've earned.
You want your in-game currency to be in-life currency.
Yeah, but obviously with a conversion rate.
So basically, you want a refund. That's what I'm hearing.
No, because I know that I'm putting money in, but I just feel like if I were, the chances of me packing 99 Ronaldo, 0.001%. But if I were to pack him, and then say I packed him in August and the new game comes out in September, I've then got 15 million coins and our new games come out, so I can do nothing with them.
So you want instead a carry-on? Like you want like a kind of a
Even if
one central system?
Even if you could transfer them over to the next, or if they stopped releasing a new game every year and they just updated the game continuously and just had FIFA instead of FIFA 19, FIFA 20, FIFA 21, and you could carry your things on, anything. But the way it is just now is you're putting £400 into one game just for you to go and do it all over again the next year.
Right. Okay. I think I understand it better now.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's like if you get Ronaldo and then you sell Ronaldo on that marketplace in that game for 15 million credits, whatever it may be, that is then linked to your account. So even if you go on to the next FIFA 21, that 15 million is sitting there from the game previously.
Yeah, I mean that would be good, but preferably I just want the money. I just want the cash. I love sweet dollar.
Okay, fair enough, I guess. Okay, so Jack, we'll go to you and your mystery pitch. Take us away.
My pitch, obviously, we were as discussed. It was going to be that you can, on a free-to-play basis, primarily, that you shouldn't be able. That your only way of cosmetics, maybe even like FIFA as well, you could just the only thing you could do is just microtransactions for cosmetics, because the way it is now, you can randomly get players and you could put £30 into and you get like bugger all back realistically. So like folk that are able to put more and more money into the game can be more rewarded and therefore maybe be more advantageous in the actual game itself against other people, which I think is wrong. But also I won't use that as a pitch because I've gone into something else now. That was the original pitch before I inadvertently told the team about it. But my new pitch is that loot boxes in a sense would be out every game automatically. What I kind of discussed with Rhys earlier on was that my pitch would be that your microtransactions would be a kind of a bundle, so to speak. So in regards to FIFA, say right now you can get like a premium gold pack and it's like 7,500 coins or 150 FIFA points. You get 12 items, 3 is rare. I would just have that gone because the 3 rares could be any kind of rare, and it could be like 3 rare contracts, for example, or like 3 rare players that might still be crap rated. What I would do is that I would allow a bundle, so to speak. So say it's like get some sort of team of the season card. So you get some sort of reward in a bundle, and it's got X amount of contracts with it, and say a fancy new kit, and I'd have that priced at whatever it is, and have it available to everyone. So probably I'd say my pitch is taking the randomness out of loot boxes. Say you're guaranteed to know what you're going to get, and then you can make the conscious decision of whether you want to put money into that to get that card or not.
It just sounds like what they have already, but with extra steps.
Well, no, because it's not because you're putting in money and you don't know the risk reward thing. At least with this, there's no risk in it because you know exactly what the reward's going to be. So it's stopping that kind of predatory temptation of putting money into something to get nothing back.
But it doesn't really, because you could be like, right, you're guaranteed a team of the season here. I could get 99 team of the season Ronaldo, or who's worth 15 million or whatever, or I could get 84 team of the season Eke.
No, I was meaning like as an A team of the season card, so it'd be like a specific one. I wasn't saying like in general, right. That you'd have the kind of specific card. There's like, this 99 Ronaldo's on sale, the contracts and that.
They've already got a marketplace where you can buy just a single team of the season player.
Yeah, but that's based off of a predatory loot box system. You know what I mean? I'd take that away. I wouldn't allow that to happen in mine. It's just you'd have the bundled service of being able to get that, and then
so you want no more chance involved in these. Yeah. You want to know exactly what you're getting.
Yeah, because at least then you're not got the idea of, well, I can put this and I could get this and you get nothing back, and it's like, well, that's £30 down the drain.
But say for example, you know your team of the season bundle here has like 99 Ronaldo in it. And how would you decide the prices? Because EA are the ones that decide the prices on the marketplace already. So what's the difference from their marketplace now, where you're guaranteed that player that you're buying for that price, or having a bundle with one player who's the exact same? They're just going to keep the same price. So what would be the difference between the marketplace now and
I would jump in.
the
Jack,
bundle
can I
then?
take this? Can I take this? for you?
Yeah, fire ahead.
Okay. I feel like I like what Jack's saying. I think to answer your question, Rhys, the thing is with the market right now is that there's no way for you to buy currents, to buy the in-game coins. Just to clarify, people who haven't played FIFA, if you're watching this, listen to it. The coins you earn, you can earn through, like, you get them from challenges, through playing the game. You earn coins every time you play a match. You could buy packs with those coins, but it's much more expensive. Well, it's not, technically not, but it's 15,000 coins for a pack, but it's like 300 FIFA points. So most people, if they were doing it, would probably buy FIFA points. So you can buy in and get packs, and you do get a coin reward from these packs, but it will only be about 1,000 coins on average. I'd say 1,500 coins for what you may have spent 15,000 coins on. So the problem is, Rhys, what you're saying is that people can't. You're saying that you could then they can buy the player on the market right now, but there's no way for them to buy, definitely not at a reasonable rate, the coins which they would use to buy the player. They would have to spend, if I'm being kind, and they got lucky with a few packs and got players who are worth more, who they could then sell on, which is no guarantee. They could have to spend something like, on say, £200-300 to get up to like about 1 million coins, and then buy a player on the market worth that much. What Jack's suggesting is that you can buy a player worth that much without having to spend nearly £300 on it. He's worth £30. That's fine, but it'd also make the market not as expensive. I'm not saying EA probably wouldn't do it as the thing. We're pitching these ideas, not EA. But I think it is a more reasonable proposal.
I get what you mean. So you buy the player with FIFA points, or the bundle with FIFA points, as opposed to FIFA coins.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like, you get rid of that kind of look back, and you've got that or off, which is available to everyone, and then they can make that decision of whether they want to spend X amount of money to get that, or they can just decide to not if they think it's too much.
It's a lovely idea, Jack, but the whole premise of Ultimate Team would be finished because you would be able to open packs or anything like that. So you would just have to wait for that player to come on the market, and you would have to spend, let's say you can guarantee this gold player that's 100 points. You just have to keep constantly doing it.
You could keep the market. Yeah, I think you could keep the market and make that, like you say, with only the in-game coins that you earn through playing the game. But the thing is, EA supply the market anyway. Although they like to say they don't. The reason they had this is a few years ago, they changed it so you can't see the club name, whoever's selling an item. It's so they can, if they want, they can boost the market, sell a couple of items, and you won't know it's an EA. It's EA doing it. That's why it means they can control the market easier. They could still do that. If you were running this game, you could still put players in the market. And since there's price ranges anyway, you could just put players around that price. You could buy them with in-game coins. It removes the competitive edge, and it kind of makes things like trading irrelevant. But I think I like that idea. I think it's a bit more balanced and it's less predatory than the current system.
Yes, my pitch is to remove the idea of chance and risk, just so you know exactly the reward that you can get if you put however much money into the game to get that bundle that would be on offer.
That's fair enough, because I know that's pretty much the main concern about microtransactions these days, of the whole gambling aspect. Adam, is there anything that you'd like to cover before, or a pitch that you'd like to make before we kind of wrap up this episode?
I've been cooking up. I'm just to point out for the record that if it was possible, I would just pitch no microtransactions. But we've agreed that's not possible.
Yes,
we'll move on. I think that you can have, like in FIFA and these games, things, but I don't think the way to stop it being pay to win is just to make it simply that items that you get from these packs, or whatever, that you have to be at a certain level if you want to use them. You have to play the game. So there's yes, you can buy and get these items early, but there's less point in it, because you have to work your way up to get to that level anyway to use the item. So I think on FIFA, I know PES actually does a good example of this. where you have to have a manager can only have a team. It can only play well up to a certain level. Like he says, he's got 1,400 rating or whatever. Is the team can't go over that rating? So a system kind of like that, and you could have, obviously it wouldn't just apply to FIFA. If you think of certain games that may play to win, I know Shadow of War.
NBA 2K has a very similar system in certain game modes. It's like limited, so there's like Bronze League, Silver League, and Gold League, because that's how the tier card works. But they've also got things like they have an unlimited tournament, which is like the big deal. But there is like you can have 1 gold player, 3 silver, and the rest can be bronze, like tiering it that sort of way. That way you can kind of get away from running into a team that's just guys spent over $1,000 on. Which if you go watch some YouTube videos, you will see people spending thousands of pounds on these cards. It's ridiculous.
They used to have tournaments like that on FIFA. Like FIFA for me used to have a really good balance. I'm sure like long-term players, Rhys, Jack, I'm sure both agree with me. I remember back in FIFA 12, it was almost easier. I definitely felt it was more rewarding to trade and like buy and sell players, or even just play tournaments and play for the game and get a big team, get a lot of coins, and it felt better, and it felt like you could get the same amount of coins as someone who spent a lot of money in the game had. And like, it didn't necessarily feel they had a big advantage because they bought loads of packs. Maybe they would have the content earlier, but they have the players that they wanted earlier, but you would still reach that. It maybe take you a wee bit longer. You have to work a wee bit harder, but it felt rewarding. I think they've kind of got away from that now, and I think it's basically it is pay to win. I think FIFA is you pay £60 for it, and then paid £60 to sit down at the slot machine. You're paying £6, and then but depending how much you put in, this is how successful you'll be. I think it's virtually impossible to be as successful at the game not spending any money on it now.
You mentioned
so your pick. Sorry, Rhys.
On you go.
No, you go first.
You mentioned there how I think it was Lewis actually mentioned how people spend thousands on YouTube, and it's ridiculous. But what we don't know, or some people obviously know, but the viewers generally don't know, is that is their job, and they claim that money as business expenses. So they're not spending any money. I mean, they're spending a little bit because obviously it gets taxed, but they're not spending as much as what it looks like because it's getting claimed as a business expense, and we're not thinking about that. So we're just like, well, these guys are spending thousands of pounds. I've got to spend thousands of pounds, and it's just kind of until people realise that the people on YouTube aren't spending as much as what you think they are. Obviously, they are spending, like, I remember last FIFA 19, they were doing pack opens, and it would be like, this is how much £10,000 will get you in a pack opening, and that was like the big in title that was getting all the clicks. But really, they're claiming it as business expenses, and they're getting most of it back. So it's kind of, the fans of the games are being sold a dream. And,
to kind of jump on that was sort of my point, was that it creates a culture of like you see that, and then okay, that's what I need to do because he spent all this money, he's getting the lineup, and that's the only way I can kind of compete and compete. It creates a culture of like almost like an anxiety of like, if I don't have the players, I can't do well, so I needed to spend all this money. And while they do probably claim back on business expenses, and they're not going to get the full amount of money back, I think it's depending on tax of the country and all that kind of. Not to make it a discussion of economics, but it creates a culture. And I think that's one of the biggest issues with microtransactions, especially with sports games, is that the companies create a culture surrounded around these predatory practices, which, I think Jack's idea is probably right. Instead of making it, you can spend money, is like if you play the game, you get the coins, you can then invest, rather than like buy the game, buy the coins, you win. But the problem with the reliant on the marketing of the YouTubers is the creation of a culture. I guess it's kind of a point. I don't want to get too specific into it, but that was kind of my main point with that sort of argument there.
Adam, you know how you're sorry, Stuart. You know how you're talking about like you have to be a certain level to play with your team. Is that what Lewis was saying about like how in FIFA you used to get like the silver league? So if you had a silver team, you would only play against a silver team. Or is it kind of like Warzone where you can come up against anyone and this person's unlocked the Grail and got all the attachments for it and their class with it, and I've still not even unlocked the AK-47, and that's not even a good gun? Which is it?
For the system to work, I think it would have to have a both. I think as much as you can limit players and make them play through the game properly, you're right. You still would give other people a big advantage, but I think the difference is that. Yeah, but I think but also I think you're making that point. But I think that's always been the case in games. People who spend more time on it are better and have better things. I think that should stay the same. I don't think you should be able to buy. The whole point is to stop people buying their way to that level. So say, like you're saying, this guy with full upgraded gun or whatever, he couldn't just come on the game and just get that. He'd have to work for it. And okay, fair enough. Maybe feel at a disadvantage, but if you put the same amount of work in, then you could get up to that level as well.
But I feel like that's kind of game specific, because I feel like for battle royale games like Fortnite, you come in, everyone's got an equal opportunity to win that game. Whereas in Warzone, I mean, we're just going back to the last podcast. In Warzone, you drop down, you get your $10,000, I think it is, and you buy your gun then for the game, and the people that have played it more are automatically, well, not automatically, but they've earned the best guns with the best attachments. And I just feel like it's not fair in aspects where I can't just go on and enjoy the game. Because I know that I'm going to come up against someone that's better than me, not because they've put more time in, but because they've got better guns. Obviously, it is good to reward the players, but at the same time, it's not fair for new players, people that want to come in for the first time. The game's been out for 6 months, they want to come in for the first time. How are they going to attract new players if they're getting killed quite quickly by people that have been sweating the game with better guns and better attachments that they won't then get because they won't put in the effort because they're getting killed straight away?
But that's how ranked systems work. That's how you kind of get matched with your own level. In the likes of Rocket League and other games, you have a kind of set level of ranked of how much experience you have and how many matches you've won, and you then get matched in with other players of similar levels.
Well, sure, it's funny that you should mention that, because last week I pitched a better ranking system, and all these Battle Royale games should have ranked matches.
Look,
no votes.
Nobody likes Fortnite, Rhys. Nobody likes Fortnite, Rhys. That is you chose that hill to die on, and we're not gonna get suffering for your mistakes here. But just back to Adam's pitch. So what your pitch is basically no more pay to win, Adam. Yeah.
That for me, if microtransactions exist in the game, I don't agree with the idea that just them being a cosmetic is okay. But if they have to exist, if we stop them being pay to win, then I think, okay, I can accept that. I can accept them being in a game.
That's fair enough. Okay, so that's that. So what I'd like you guys to do is each send me a message privately with the pitch idea you like the most. That's Lewis's return to supplementary extra content DLC. Rhys's kind of longer return for in-game currencies that kind of cross releases so that they last more and mean more. Jack's no more random chance involved with microtransactions, and Adam's no more pay to win. So whilst you guys are doing that, I'd just like to say I've had some listener comments myself about microtransactions, such as from a friend who won't be named for privacy, but he gave me permission to mention this on the show, that he thinks that they're too predatory, they're too easy to rack up massive costs. He was playing a mobile game and within 2 hours he found he'd already spent £50 on in-game items. It's quite shocking how quickly these games can take and take and take. So thanks again for coming forward with that. We hope that kind of thing doesn't happen to you again, buddy. Another comment is from my Warzone pal at work, Jack. He says that he hates the pay-to-win factor in games. Like Adam's saying, he feels that it puts players of the same ability at a disadvantage because they can't access everything within the game. He also hates the gambling aspect, says that it's not right that you can plough all this money into these loot boxes, as Jack's saying, and not knowing what you're going to get because there's a chance you might get a legendary skin. So thanks for those thoughts, Jack. Does anyone else have any outside comments before I reveal the winner?
I just want to say...
I like that guy.
I just want to say that Jack and I joked about 10 minutes ago about how Adam would take away our no pay to win cosmetic only pitch, and he said no, I'm totally against that, and he's going for a no pay to win pitch. So it's just like uni.
Just like uni.
That's okay. Do you know what? I'm not gonna reply to. I'm not gonna grace that with a reply. I'm just gonna leave it. So the listeners will decide.
I think one thing we've realised from doing this is that there's very little positives to microtransactions, and the positive is that as long as they're not too bad, it's okay. which is a very low bar to set, and that's kind of
Yeah.
terrifying. Like if you think about the future of gaming, especially the fact that more games are moving to a service model, like the battle royales and the battle passes, it's kind of terrifying for where I think games going to go. And I fell in love with games because of stories and characters, not that I could have a fancy gun that spews out blue flames when I kill people.
Okay, so I have got your votes in, and ladies and gentlemen, we have a first in Big Picture's history. We have a tie. Rhys and Jack, nobody liked your ideas because nobody plays FIFA.
What?
So you are down at the bottom. That is, you got
It's
no
just like
votes.
last week, Jack. A guy voted. One of the comments was like, "Oh, this would be a great idea," and they voted for your one this week. But last week, the comments were, "Oh, this would be a great idea," and they voted for my one. And somehow we don't get any votes from the panel. It's just a joke, Jack. I'm a big fan of
literally every single panelist saying, you know what, I really like Jack's idea before it gets their vote and then it gets shafted at the end. These are all, I
just want to say before the...
Do you know what it is? It's you two airing your dirty laundry in the Big Pictures podcast. That's what it is. Nobody likes childish behaviour. So that's it. But I've decided a little kind of compromise for the fact that we have a tie. So what I'm going to do is I am going to draw up 30 seconds on the clock, and Adam and Lewis, you will each have 30 seconds and 30 seconds only to convince me why your pitch is better.
Well, wait. Convince of the three of us, surely.
No, you two have had your say. He's the decider.
But this could be a 30-second boost that could change my mind.
That'd be okay if people voted for it. All right, you already gave them the 5 minutes and they didn't want to hear that. What's more 30 seconds?
Where can I resign from this podcast?
I know. I just want to say I didn't actually like any of the pictures. There was scrutiny with all of them. Just get rid of microtransactions. That's my pitch.
I think we'd all, all kind of just go for that. But everyone would have the same podcast and no one would be a winner. So, right, Lewis, you are up first. I am going to put 30 seconds on the clock, and when I say go, you try and convince me why your pitch is better. So, in 3, 2, 1, go.
Right. So, my opponent is going to come with something very similar, and I'm going first, which means I win. The point of microtransactions shouldn't be to give you a boost in the game. It should be add to the core experience. Things like FIFA, things like 2K, they're predatory. In order to make the game enjoyable, you have to spend more money outside of just buying the game. That's a broken system. You should be able to have the core game, compete and enjoy it. And if you want a little more, you pay a little bit more. And that's my point. Make games accessible, enjoyable. Okay. Screw season passes.
That's
and
your
enjoy
time.
The core experience.
Okay. I'll reset the clock here. Adam, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, and so in 3, 2, 1, go.
I think Lewis covered a lot of good topics there, but I think for me, they've got to be realistic. They're never going to remove microtransaction games. So I think my pitch allows developers to have the option there, but I think a lot of players won't take it if the barriers are there. To stop it being pay to win, people would rather play the game. I think it's important to encourage people to play the game. That's all I've got to say.
Under time as well.
That just sounds like a fancy way of saying my way of doing it.
That's you.
Guys, do you remember the time we went to a pub quiz and it came out as a draw, and we sent Adam up to do like a head-to-head with a guy, and Adam wrote down the wrong answer and he managed to convince the guy doing the pub quiz that it was the right answer?
You read it upside down for some weird reason. I don't understand why.
That's the exact same situation, yeah.
Okay, I've had time to kind of mull over your extra credit, so to speak. And ladies and gentlemen, Adam Burkiewicz is this week's big pitcher. Congratulations.
Our pitches were the same. That's the problem.
If I couldn't win, I would have given it to Lewis, but I did win, so I'm happy to take it. Thanks.
The people's champ is now this week's champ.
The real champ, yeah. So that's a good point. We'll see if he remains the people's champion on top of the actual champion for this week's episode. But that is that. We've been listening to another episode of the Big Picture podcast. I'd like to thank our great panel as always. Thank you, Jack Graham.
No.
Rhys, thank you very much for appearing.
I'm just not going to make a pitch next time because I don't get any votes anyway.
Lewis, you've been stripped of your title, but that'll just mean you'll have to work harder for next time. Thank you for showing up.
It was just a joyous experience.
There you go. And Adam, you were late as a whole to our call, but you somehow managed to win anyway. Thank you very much, Adam Barkiewicz.
Thanks for voting for me. Thanks.
And thank you all for your support. If you have any ideas for future episodes or just want to give us feedback, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at @_bigpicture. So don't forget to follow us there. Tune in next time. We have some great shows coming up. So make sure you're subscribed to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, and all the rest. So until then, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Ta-ra.
Ciao.